going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and Icerivers' latest AL0 box miner has arrived. Scalpel. And here it is. We have Icerivers AL0. Now, I do know some of you guys actually got yours before me, and if you guys are looking to get more or you're trying to get in on the latest FOMO because you did miss Kaspa, I will have them links down in the description. Click them. They're still in stock, but I don't think they're going to last very long. So here we have it, the AL0. Pretty darn excited for this. The next stage in Alephium mining over GPUs and FPGAs. So it did come with your standard 120 watt power supply. Here is the power extension that plugs into the actual box right here. And all you got to do to set this thing up is plug in your Ethernet cable right here, spin this thing around. Here's your power cable, and then you should be live in your dashboard. So I'm going to set that up. Let's jump to the dashboard. We're going to show you how to set this thing up. We're going to go over temperatures, see what it looks like, auto mode and everything. I'm going to put a fan on it and see it just like KS0s. Usually you don't need to spend all the extra stupid money on getting this to run. They like to run warm. We'll see if that's the case here. I will put a fan on as mentioned and see if we lose hash rate or not. So we'll go through all that. I'm going to use a thermal camera. We'll check out the thermals on this as well. So let's get started. All right, so I got this set up now in my bathroom by the KS0 Ultra over there, and I do want to point out Icerivers did send this out for review purposes, and I can say whatever the heck I want to say about it. We can see we got blinky lights turned on, so that's good. It just went green, so it's beginning to mine away, most likely to Icerivers' address because I haven't set it up yet. As for the power, we're looking at 110 watts right now, 111. Let's jump into that dashboard. All right, so here we are in my router. That's usually how I find things. The latest thing that pops up is the newest thing I put online. Now, it's different this time. This actually says Icerivers. Every other miner always said unknown here, and this is the gold shell ones right here. But everything from Icerivers, KS0s, KS0 Ultras, KS0 Pros, KS1s, KS2s, KS5L, they always said unknown. But it looks like in this model for Alephium, it actually has the Icerivers name. So that's pretty sweet. This is my IP right here. So I'm simply going to copy this and put it in my browser. And here we are. So I'm going to go admin and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As long as it follows Kaspa rules, I'm assuming it does, and it did. So here we are. We don't have any dashboard issues. This is Icerivers' donation address. So let's kind of have a look. I'm going to copy this, put it in a notepad. Actually, you know what? Let's just go to the Alephium Explorer here. So I just want to run into the Explorer. Let's have a look at Icerivers' address here. So where is Alephium? Coming into here, scroll on down, Alephium Explorer right here. And now let's just paste that in there. And what do we got? So we got 27.87 Alephium. So actually not that much. Are they sending anything out? I don't really see anything going out. So it must be a newer address here. Not much going on within it. Last activity was 44 minutes ago. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here to set up this miner is we're going to come to the left here and click on mining settings. And then we're going to wipe clean all of this stuff. So I want to get rid of all those. I'm only going to run one pool, so I'm going to get rid of the other ones like so. Obviously, we want to get rid of all these addresses because we don't want to donate to Icerivers. You can if you want, but I want to mine to my own address. So I'm going to paste my wallet address in here, followed by AL01. And then make sure there's no spaces, nothing over there. Coming back, nothing over there. All right, so there's no spaces in my address. I'm going to get rid of these like so. And now we're going to add in our pool. And this video is also sponsored by Hero Miners. So we're going to be utilizing the Hero Miners mining pool. And I am in Canada, but the closest stratum for me and lowest latency is Western USA. So I'm going to be using this right here. So I'm going to copy this stratum in here, come back into our miner here, and put that right here. So we're going to come in, paste that like so. Make sure there's no crazy spaces or anything in there. It looks like we are all good. And then we're going to hit that save button. It's telling me pool 2 format is invalid. So it looks like we're actually going to have to add a backup pool. You can't do it with just a single pool. So that's interesting. So I'm going to come in and just pretty much put the same thing in for everything and see if it lets me do that. So I'm going to bring that in here. I'm going to copy this one over here. Copy that in there. And I'm also going to go with an X here as well. I'm going to save that. and now it needs a pool 3. So it looks like you have to add a pool for every single thing here. Now the best thing you should do is come through the stratums and pick other stratums. So I should actually set this up properly here, and I'm going to go with USA East for the secondary one, like so. So I'm going to take this, copy it. I'm going to bring that into my miner here. So we're going to remove this, bring that here. You never have to do this with the Kaspa miners, but it looks like they do want backup pools for Alephium. So that's interesting. It could be a good thing if a stratum or something goes down. And then I guess I'm going to use the third one as my US Canada one. So that's Eastern Canada. You know, there's got to be something closer here. I'm going to go South USA. I'm going to go all US because it's probably the worst on Eastern Canada for me. So I'm going to come in now and go into here. And now we're going to paste that in as well. But make sure you do have the stratum plus TCP or it will not work. So I'm going to come that, put that in there. All right, that looks all good. I'm going to copy the same worker name and address, obviously, because we want to be using the same stuff. All good. Put in our X. Now we're going to hit save here. Bam. And it's all good. Operation succeeded. So it does look like with the Alephium miners, you need all the information filled out. Unlike the Kaspa miners, you only needed the one single pool. So I'm not going to touch anything on the fan speed or anything. I wanted to kind of do its auto thing here, and we'll see how that runs. But I do want to restart this from scratch, so it starts at 0 for uptime and everything. So I'm going to hit the restart button and hit OK. Now let's wait and see what happens. All right, so we are back. I'm just spamming F5 here so I can see how long it takes till we get our first accepted share here. That means time for the ASIC to fully load the control board, understand its fans, and make sure everything's good before it actually begins mining. So far, it's been about 1 minute and 25 seconds. Still nothing found. Looks like our fans are sitting at 6,000 RPM currently on auto mode. So we're just going to continue hitting this F5 until we finally see an accepted share. I do believe the Kaspa miners did take about 1 minute 45 seconds to 2 minutes for this to happen. And it looks like we should be there any second now. And we're still not finding anything. So I'll continue doing this until I find one share. All right, so it was 000, then at 2 minutes and 36 seconds, all of a sudden we found 2. So coming down to our fans, we can see it drop. So if you also did go in and set manual fans before this point, it would override it. Once you find those shares, at least that's what I found with the Kaspa miners as well, is as soon as I found them shares, it starts to drop and goes to auto mode again. So if you want manual mode, you would then have to reset it from now moving forward. But I'm going to leave this on auto mode. And again, auto mode is not clicking anything right here. It's saying 0%. If you do want manual mode, you would click this box and put it to 60%, 80%, 100%, whatever. But I do want to see how well auto mode does work. So I'm going to leave it as is. We're going to let it sit and do its 5 and 30 minute hash rate thing, see what kind of hash rates we are getting and kind of what our fans do here, because it does need to warm up. We can see 61C and 49C. If you're familiar with the other miners for Kaspa here, this thing likes to run like 65 to 80 degrees Celsius. That's why external cooling reduces your actual hash rate. So we're going to let this ramp up and heat up here, and then we'll see how well it does perform. So seeing how we have a couple shares here, I do want to see if we're detected at the pool. We should be. So just simply come down here, put in your address, hit the lookup button, wait a couple seconds. Shouldn't take too long to load here unless it's getting hammered by traffic. There we go. Scrolling down, and yes, we can see that we are detected here, 11.2 gigahash currently, but everything is looking good. All right, guys, so it has been about 1 hour and 7 minutes. I'm just going to do an update here to see exactly. Okay, cancel that. It's been 1 hour and a half pretty much here, and we're sitting at 403 gigahash on the 5-minute hash rate, and the 30-minute hash rate is 407 gigahash. Coming into the pool, we are seeing on the 1 hour, we are over 400 gigahash, 403, and the current is 405. So everything is jiving. We are getting exactly what we should be. Coming down and looking at the fans, you can see we are maxed out. It did pick up to 6,168 RPM. We're sitting at 67 degrees on temp 1 and 56 on temp 2. And our mining settings, we can see it actually defaulted and auto ramped up to 100% to keep this thing cool. So things are looking pretty good here. Let's jump to the miner and take a look at some thermals. Looking at the power consumption, we're currently at 122.2 watts. All right, so I just took the external Noctua fan here, plugged it in, so this is also going to be drawing more power. Right now I have it pushing the air into the miner itself, and we'll let it sit for another hour or so and see what our hash rates do, and then I'm going to flip it over and pull the air out and see what that does. Now, if this runs cooler and seeing depending if we lose hash rate or not, it should use less power. But right now it's going to be using more power because we are actually powering this through the same power supply. So we're getting over that 120 watt limit by default, and now we're even higher. So let's actually have a look at our power before we actually get into this. So I'm just going to bring this down. Click on that. So actually we're at 122.3 right now. It did spike to 124. I didn't record that, but we'll just keep an eye on it. All right, guys, so we're just going to do a refresh here. It's been about an hour and a half since we did test it, so we should have new 1 hour averages. So with the fan on it right now, we're sitting at the last 5 minutes 372, so down a little bit. Past 30 minutes is still 398, so we're doing pretty good here. We're not really noticing hash drop. The 5 minute is really hard to tell things because that's just based on shares and your difficulty is always adjusting and stuff. So it's really hard to see. You do need those longer averages to really see stuff. But overall, I don't think we're really losing performance like we did with the Kaspa version of these miners. We can see our temperatures now on temp 1 is 61 and temp 2 is down to 43, and the auto fans actually shut the fans off completely because it didn't need them. They're trying to heat up a little bit here. So we can see everything is running good. Let's take a look at the miner, switch the fan around, and take a look at our power consumption. Oh, and I do want to point out, over the 1 hour at the pool, we are down to 398. So we did lose a little bit, falling slightly below that 400 gigahash. All right, so we are down to 118 watts from 122. So we are using a bit less power because as you run things cooler, they are running more efficient. So it's nice to see that this is actually working pretty good on the AL0 here. Now I'm going to take this fan and actually swap it around. So I'm just going to turn it over without getting my fingers caught inside of it. Oh, okay, I'm going to hit something here. I'm going to put this down here. There we go. So now what we're doing is we're sucking the air out of the box here and it's exhausting out. So kind of going right through the same way the fans would kind of be spinning. The vent holes are in the top. So let's see if this has any effect at all over another hour and a half. All right, so we're back again. It's been 4 hours, 30 minutes. So another hour and a half from our previous test. So we should have a good 1 hour average here. So coming in the 5 minutes, we're at about 395 gigahash, and the 30 minutes, we're back over 400 gigahash again. Zero rejected shares. We have 3,474. So nothing we did in the past here has gave us any rejected shares over at Hero Miners. Our temperature is up a bit. We can see 72C on temp 1. I do believe we were at 42C when we were actually blowing into the miner itself. So pulling that exhaust out of it actually doesn't cool as well as the other one. So it does look like blowing in does result in cooler temperatures. We're sitting at 49C right now, but because it is a bit warmer, that could be why we're seeing a little bit extra in the hash rate. It's not affecting it as much as the Kaspa miners. Our fans here is still at 0. It's not needing them. Coming into the pool, let's see, do a quick refresh where we are for the 1 hour average. And yeah, so we're up on the 1 hour average to 421. So it does look like warmer is slightly better, but having the fan blowing up is, you know, looking pretty good here. Let's go over and look at the power and see if we have any better efficiencies or not. All right, so it does look like about 120 watts is what we are using while having the fan suck the air out. It is running a bit warmer, so that's pretty much what the results are telling us right now. You don't need an extra fan. This is going to cost you more. You're better off just turning it on and letting it run. All right, and one final look. I did remove the fan again. It's been running for about 2.5 hours since then, and our 5 minute is 436. 30 minutes is sitting at 427 gigahash. 0 rejected shares, 5,465 accepted. Our temperatures are up, obviously, 74C on 1 and 62 degrees on temp 2. And our fans are pretty much maxed out. Auto fan seems to be working, so you don't have to touch that at all. Just leave it as is, and it'll do its thing. So it's definitely looking like mining without any external fan is probably the best way to go about it. It does get the hash rate it's supposed to do. Adding a fan does reduce it slightly, but not as bad as it did do with the Kaspa miners, the KS0 Ultras, KS0, and KS0 Pros. Now, obviously, if overclocking firmware does become available, you are going to want to get an external fan or something, bigger power supply, but right now it's really up in the air because that is a lot of extra cost as well. All right, so let's kind of look at what things are looking like. And here's my spreadsheet, and this is how we have all been kind of tracking the network, guessing how much of the first batch will go online and how much your profitability will drop before these things even ship, or right when you get them day one. And when these things are first announced here, any ASIC, you know, there might have been some minor testing going on here. Network hash rate was only about 1.4 petahash with 400 gigahash. That was about $18.25 before any of them were really online. And we did say here that with 200 AL1s worth of hash rate, this is what it would be. And then here's with 500 AL1s, and here's with the thousands. The rumors are that there would be about 300, maybe a little bit over 300 AL1s releasing on the first batch. And it's looking like it's quite a bit more than that. But we do got to count all the Icerivers ASICs. So all these hash rates here are based on everything null and void. The entity and everything that was mining Alephium before doesn't even matter anymore because, you know, Bitmain and Icerivers, these ASICs are so efficient. They're fairly cheap for the price that you're getting them at, and they're just going to take over. So that hash rate will most likely drop off in terms of GPUs and FPGAs that were online. So here with 200, we can see that we would be making $9.61. Well, looking at the current network hash rate, we're already down to $4.51. There is more miners than 200. We're not quite at the 500 yet, so we're somewhere in between the 200 and the 500 AL1s worth of hash rate online on day one. And I think Bitmain actually just started shipping their miners right now, and that's going to get even worse here as those start getting turned on. So we may be getting close, or maybe plus the second critical stage of yellow here of 500. And could we hit 1,000 within a month or two? It's very possible, as there is no silicon shortage. There's no shortages anywhere anymore, and they are ready to produce a mass amount of miners and sell as many as they possibly could before the hash rates really start to climb and profitability tanks. So we can see right now this miner is currently making about $4.51 a day, or about 2.36 coins a day. That's actually pretty good, especially how there isn't really that much profit out there in crypto in general, especially as the GPU miners out there, they know that it's been some very, very rough times. But what if 1,000 of these miners come online worth of AL1's worth of hash rate on the network? That drops down to only $1.92. Now that is mining 1 coin a day, but in theory, we could see very big price pumps coming on Alephium, just like, you know, people are expecting for Kaspa. We could possibly see maybe $20 to $30 on Alephium. If that's the case, even with all this hash rate, that is around $20 to $30 per day that this is mining. Now, there's one major thing that no one really talks about with Alephium, and that is block reward reductions is happening as well. 1 petahash upwards to 1 exahash, the block reward of Alephium is going to drop from 15 Alephium down to 5 Alephium. So it's at a gradual pace as the hash rate increases. And then from 1 exahash plus, it's going to go from 5 Alephium down to 0 Alephium. So that is still at play here, and it's happening right now. Then proof of less work will kick in at 1 exahash plus. We are a ways away from that, but it doesn't mean it's not going to come. It is going to come, especially if we start seeing major price gain in the next altcoin season, which is next year. This coin has not yet seen an altcoin season / bull run, so it could see some major gains leading into next year. So it is going to make current profitability look pretty darn good. Now, coming into what to mine here, it's not much, but we can already see that the block reward is actually reducing. It was 0.51 for a long time. We are seeing now 6 petahash here. It dropped to 0.5. Now, losing 0.01 isn't really very much, but remember, it's going to add up, especially as we get closer to that 1 exahash range, and Alephium is a faster algorithm than it is for Kaspa, so we could see second and third generation Alephium ASICs far surpassing the ones Kaspa has, and we could hit 1 exahash possibly faster than Kaspa. Now, that may be hard to believe because Kaspa is only at 900 petahash, so I do think Kaspa is going to hit 1 exahash first, but it is not going to be far behind before Alephium does hit that. And the last thing here I do want to point out here is the price and efficiencies of these miners. So as we know, we can see the AL0. So I actually have to switch this, because we're seeing actually about 122 watts if you don't have any external fans and it's running at the warmer temperature. So I'm going to update this to the efficiency levels just to see exactly where it is. All right, so I do have this updated now. So one thing to point out here is Icerivers AL0s are pretty competitively priced, where they are the cheapest miner per the hash rate, which means because they're only 100 watts, or I guess 122, you're not going to go bankrupt using this. So this should be the fastest ROI Alephium ASIC on the market because you paid the least amount per hash rate. Yes, Bitmain are big badass machines and the most efficient, but they're also coming in, well, I guess not most expensive. Goldshell takes the title on the absolute least efficient and the absolute most expensive miner, especially on trying to capitalize on being first and releasing a broken product of only mining one chain of Alephium. It is all fixed now, I believe, but I don't have one to test to fully know for sure. But the point is they capitalized on being first. It was super expensive and it was the least efficient miner. Iceriver is at least pretty close on par as Bitmain, so the efficiency isn't actually that bad. Yes, it's worse, but not by much here. And again, it's also coming in at the cheapest price. So it really has a lot going for it, and it's not going to die until at least probably generation 2 ASICs do come online. All right, guys, so that pretty much does wrap up this video. We went through everything you need to know about Icerivers' new Alephium ASIC, the AL0. It has a different setup process, which was pretty nice, actually. You need all 3 pools in there, or it will not run. It'll give you an error. It's nice that they actually added the name into the router so you can see what it is by default. Also, the dashboard actually works, unlike the new KS0 Ultra. So we didn't really have to go through any noise levels here because obviously this thing doesn't make any noise. So you're going to be just fine as a home miner. That is what this is geared towards. It's a nice, efficient miner. Decent hash rate, priced the cheapest for the hash rate that you get out of it, out of all the current ASICs on the market for Alephium, which is the fastest ROI, and miner is sitting right here, which is pretty hard to believe, but it is in fact true. We checked out how the temperatures react with this miner being warmer or cooler, with a fan on top blowing in, a fan blowing out. The auto fans does seem to be working. So let me know everything you think about this ASIC down in the comments section, and if you're looking for one, links will be in the description, or if you're looking for a whole bunch more, like some of you guys have ordered a crap ton of these, then obviously use that link and get yourself some more. Totally up to you. But you know, again, just like Kaspa, the block rewards are going to be dropping, the hash rate is going to be increasing like crazy. So is it worth it, or do you just wait for possible price reductions? I do expect that to happen probably very soon, and I do expect Iceriver to drop like a KS1 or KS2 variant, or at least maybe even a KS3L, KS5M type of variant as well. But I do expect Iceriver to release the larger versions of these very, very soon, and until then, we'll just have to wait for some news. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.